What's going on, WWE fans? You're watching The Ring Report, where the wrestling never stops. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's break it down. For years, Roman Reigns has ruled WWE with iron conviction and unmatched dominance. The tribal chief, a figure of pride, power, and discipline, has always demanded loyalty and acknowledgement. But what happens when the same man who built an empire on dominance witnesses one of his own fall short? When leadership meets empathy, and family begins to mean more than pride? That question was answered the night Roman Reigns broke his silence after Jey Uso's heartbreaking loss to CM Punk. The moment wasn't about championships or rivalries, it was about brotherhood. The aftermath of defeat. Saturday night's main event was supposed to be Jey Uso's night. A night that could have rewritten his story forever. His battle with CM Punk was intense, physical, and personal. Every strike felt like defiance, every near fall like destiny trying to make up for years of struggle. For 25 minutes, the crowd believed they were witnessing the rise of a new champion, a new chapter for the Uso family. But wrestling, like life, can be cruel. In one final moment, the dream slipped away. The bell rang and Jey's hands fell to the mat. He had come within inches of capturing the World Heavyweight Championship, but inches can feel like miles when you've given everything. The crowd roared, but for Jey, the noise faded into silence. The locker room. Silence backstage, after the chaos of victory and defeat had cleared, Jey sat alone in the dim light of the locker room. The roar of the crowd was gone, replaced by the low hum of fluorescent bulbs and the weight of disappointment. His wrist tape still clung to his skin, torn and soaked in sweat. Every breath he took seemed heavier than the last. There was no celebration waiting for him this time. No family, no cheers, just silence. That's when the sound of slow footsteps echoed down the corridor. Roman Reigns had returned. A different Roman Reigns. Those who know Roman know the aura that follows him. The confidence, the command, the presence of a leader who doesn't need to raise his voice to be heard. But this wasn't that Roman. When he entered the room, there was no thunder in his eyes, no weight of authority in his tone. He looked at his cousin, not as the tribal chief, but as a man who understood heartbreak. Without saying a word, he sat beside Jey. The silence between them was not awkward, it was healing. After a long pause, Roman finally spoke. "I saw the match," he said quietly. "I saw you fight with more heart than anyone in that building." His voice carried warmth instead of command. Family before pride. For a moment, Jey didn't respond. He simply kept his head down, lost in frustration. But Roman placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture that spoke louder than any championship belt. "You didn't lose tonight," Roman said. "You proved you belong in main events. You showed the world what our family stands for." The room fell still. In that instant, the walls that had divided them for months, ego, betrayal, competition, seemed to crumble. Roman's next words captured the essence of what it means to be more than a leader. Sometimes family needs to remember that we're stronger together than we are apart. A broken bloodline, a chance for healing. The Bloodline story has always been about more than wrestling. It's about legacy, family, and the weight of expectation. For months, that legacy had been fractured by ambition. The brothers who once stood united were split by ego and misunderstanding. But as Roman extended empathy instead of control, the possibility of reconciliation suddenly felt real. The conversation between Roman and Jey wasn't just personal. It was symbolic. It hinted that perhaps the Bloodline's next chapter wouldn't be about dominance, but redemption. The same unity that once conquered WWE could now become its emotional core. A new kind of leadership. Roman Reigns' gesture toward Jey Uso reflects a new definition of leadership. One grounded in understanding rather than authority. He didn't need to reassert his dominance or demand allegiance. He simply reminded his cousin that family, at its best, survives failure together. This was not the Roman who expected acknowledgement. It was the Roman who gave it. In many ways, this moment could reshape the Bloodline entirely. With Survivor Series on the horizon and new alliances forming across WWE, Roman knows that a strong family is more powerful than any title reign. His decision to offer grace, not judgment, could be the spark that reunites one of wrestling's greatest dynasties, Jey Uso's silent redemption. For Jey, the encounter marked something equally powerful, a turning point in how he viewed himself. Defeat is never easy, but acknowledgement from the tribal chief turned loss into validation. Roman's words transformed disappointment into purpose. Instead of retreating into isolation, Jey seemed to find quiet strength in that exchange. The story of main event Jey Uso has always been one of proving worth beyond being someone's brother or cousin. Now, supported by Roman's renewed empathy, he may finally step into his own destiny not as a shadow of the Bloodline, but as its beating heart. The emotional shift fans didn't expect across social media. Fans reacted not with chants of rivalry, but with admiration. The usually divided WWE Universe found itself united in witnessing a rare moment of authenticity. The same man once accused of manipulation had shown maturity, compassion, and emotional depth. It was no longer about who betrayed whom or who holds the belt. It was about love, legacy, and the shared wounds that bind families together. For years, the Bloodline story has dominated WWE storytelling with drama and betrayal. But now, it offered something deeper: forgiveness. Rebuilding the Bloodline. What happens next is anyone's guess, but one thing is certain. Roman Reigns' return marks the beginning of a new era for the Anoa'i dynasty. With Jacob Fatu emerging as the enforcer of the family's renewed unity and the Usos rediscovering their brotherhood, the Bloodline could become stronger than ever. Not through fear, but through understanding. The power they once held through dominance might now be redefined through empathy. In the unpredictable world of WWE, that kind of emotional growth is revolutionary. The meaning of family and wrestling beyond titles, rivalries, and storylines, wrestling has always been about connection, the bond between performer and fan, between family and legacy. Roman and Jey's emotional moment reminded everyone why the Bloodline saga has resonated so deeply. It mirrors something real: families divided by pride, reunited by love. Their story isn't just about wrestling supremacy. It's about forgiveness, acceptance, and the courage to change. The tribal chief didn't return to reclaim his throne. He returned to remind his family who they are and why they still matter to each other. A new chapter begins. As the lights faded that night, one truth lingered. When family heals, everything changes. The image of Roman Reigns placing his hand on Jey Uso's shoulder wasn't just a reunion, it was a rebirth. The once fractured Bloodline now stands on the edge of a new beginning, one shaped not by ego, but by empathy. Whether this fragile piece holds or shatters again will define the next era of WWE storytelling. But for now, fans have witnessed something rare in wrestling. A leader who finally learned that real power isn't in being acknowledged, it's in acknowledging others.